You were told that if you just work hard enough, save enough pennies, and sacrifice your present, you will eventually become wealthy. But let's look at the cold, hard reality. The hardest working people in the world, the ones breaking their backs for 10, 12, 14 hours a day, are often the ones struggling the most. They are exhausted, stressed, and constantly living on the edge. Why? Because getting rich has absolutely nothing to do with physical labor. It has nothing to do with your environment, your education, or how fiercely you compete with others. If getting rich was the result of saving and thrift, then the most frugal people would be billionaires. If it was about environment, then everyone in a wealthy neighborhood would be rich, and everyone in a poor neighborhood would be poor. But we know that is not true. The truth is far more clinical. Getting rich is not a matter of luck or fate. It is an exact science. It is a formula just like algebra or physics. There are specific laws that govern the acquisition of wealth. And once you learn and obey these laws, you will get rich with mathematical certainty. In 1910, a man named Wallace D. Wattles published a manual called The Science of Getting Rich. It wasn't philosophical poetry. It was a pragmatic step-by-step blueprint. It is the very foundation that inspired the greatest wealth-building books of the last century. But the core secret hidden within its pages is so contradictory to how the middle class thinks that most people reject it completely. The masses operate on the illusion of competition. They believe the pie is limited. They think that for them to win, someone else must lose. But the elite, the truly wealthy, do not compete. They create. Over the next few minutes, we are going to dismantle the programming that has kept you stuck in the rat race. We are going to decode the exact formula of thinking and acting in what Wattles calls the certain way. If you apply these specific laws, your financial reality will not just improve, it will transform entirely. But a warning before we proceed. The concepts we are about to discuss will challenge everything society has taught you about money. If you are not ready to let go of your old mindset, if you prefer the comfort of excuses over the responsibility of wealth, click away now. Still here? Good. Let's begin. The first law. The power of formless substance. Everything you see around you, the buildings, the cars, the technology, the money in the bank, was once exactly the same thing. A thought. Wattles states that there is a thinking stuff from which all things are made. In its original state, this substance permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imaged by the thought. Most people misunderstand the law of attraction. They sit in a room, close their eyes, and wish for $1 million, expecting it to fall from the ceiling. That is delusion. The science of getting rich dictates that thought is the initial spark, but it must be backed by absolute faith and purpose. You must hold the clear mental image of what you want, not as a distant dream, but as a present reality. You do not hope to become wealthy. You claim it as your natural right. But thinking alone is where most people stop. And that brings us to the second law, the escape from the competitive mind. Listen very closely to this because it is the exact point where the middle class stays trapped. You must get rid of the thought of competition. You are to create, not to compete for what is already created. Society programs us to believe that wealth is a pizza. If someone else takes a large slice, there is less for you. This creates fear. It creates jealousy. It makes you negotiate ruthlessly, trying to squeeze every penny out of your clients or partners. This is the competitive plane, and it is a miserable place to live. True wealth is created on the creative plane. The universe's supply is infinite. You do not have to take anything away from anyone to get rich. You do not have to drive sharp bargains or cheat. When you operate as a creator, you are literally bringing new value into existence. The moment you stop worrying about what your competitors are doing and focus entirely on creating unparalleled value, you become magnetic to money, which leads to the final and most actionable rule. The third law, the law of over-delivery. Wattles writes, "Give every man more in use value than you take from him in cash value." Let that sink in. If you sell a product for $100, the person buying it must feel like they are receiving $1,000 in life-improving value. If you are an employee getting paid $5,000 a month, you must provide so much irreplaceable value to your company that you are effectively worth $10,000. This is not about working yourself to death. It is about the quality and impact of what you provide. When you consistently give more in use value than you take in cash, you trigger the universal law of increase. People will flock to you. Opportunities will seek you out. Wealth will flow to you not by force, but by natural law. The formula is now in your hands. You now understand that wealth is not a limited resource you have to fight for. It is an infinite stream you tap into by thinking in the certain way, by abandoning the competitive mind, and by becoming a creator who over-delivers on value. But knowing the formula is only half the battle. Here is the trap that catches 99% of people who try to apply this science. You can hold the mental image of wealth all day long. You can work with a creative mindset. But if your internal frequency, your subconscious vibration, does not match your conscious desires, the formless substance cannot respond. You will experience delays, frustration, and failure. Wattles touched on the power of thought, but to truly master the mechanics of the universe, you must understand the ancient principle that governs all energy. If you want to know exactly how to align your internal frequency to magnetize wealth effortlessly, you must master the law of vibration. I have broken down this exact law and the hidden mechanics of how the elite use it to bend reality in the video on your screen right now. Click it and take the next step toward your absolute financial liberation.